Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the DVMUG Tuesday meeting. Let's see, today is November 18th, 2025. I'm Peter Weiler, and I will be your host today. Um, our meeting will follow the usual scenario in which we will start with news from the week related to Apple and Macs and iPhones and so forth, followed by a series of videos. You can see them on the splash screen, the titles for them. And we'll get started in just a moment. I do suggest if you are interested in any of the news items or videos and would like to actually get more information than what's going to happen when we talk about the news, go ahead and you can download the screens that you're going to see. Uh, let's see. This being the first one, which lists all of the news items along with the links, the URLs that will take you directly on your computer to the articles. And the articles will have a lot more information in them than we're able to cover in this presentation. Uh, We'll also have a video list that we'll get to later on in the meeting. This and the news listings are in the chat, and you can download them from there and get those links. Anyway, our first item is how fast will Apple's M5 Pro and M5 Max be? They're not out there yet, but they'll get there pretty soon. Um, I actually want to add just one quick little uh, news flash that came across as I was getting this together today, that Apple has reported that the Joe Rogan Experience is now the number one broadcast podcast, the top podcast in America, replacing The Daily, which emanates from the New York Times. So for those of you who follow podcasts, you might be interested in checking out the Joe Rogan Experience. Maybe some of you already have, and we could talk about that during the comments. Anyway, let's get on to the other news. So, how fast will Apple's M5 Pro and M5 Max be? Here is a summary of this article. And as usual, Apple is increasing the power of the chips that are in their product. They're making improvements in the GPU and the CPUs, and ultimately, you should get faster and more powerful performance from the new uh, M5 Pro and M5 Max, and maybe there might even be an M5 Ultima or Ultra, I guess they call it. Um, at any rate, uh, there is a lot of geek words here. You could see things like uh, geek bench scores and well, even things like GPU and CPU might be a little confusing to some folk. But let's get on with the the comment section. So, are there any questions or comments? Okay, moving on. The second item is from Chance Miller of 9 to 5 Mac. Um, Apple launches Digital ID, a feature in the Apple Wallet where you will use your passport. And this is something a little bit new because we can carry around our passport book and probably still should when we're traveling, but now there will be a digital version of it. Um, The article explains in more detail how to set up the ID feature in your wallet, and it will be useful at TSA checkpoints in over 250 US airports in this country. So if you're planning to travel and you're taking your iPhone along with you, this might be of some value. It suggests this, it's a start in the future when it all becomes more digital. Any questions or comments?
I have a feeling that that is only good in for domestic travel. And it's probably being handled like a passport card, which is only good for domestic travel.
Well, I'm quite sure that you will, if you're going to be traveling out of the country, you'll need to carry your passport book with you, and you'll likely be asked to display it. Um,
It said domestic flights.
in the article?
Yeah, on the slide you had it said domestic flights.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only good for domestic flights.
All right.
And
Any
I
other
don't
questions?
believe that do all the airlines accept that kind of identification, or is it only TSA?
Well, it's evidently being, at least now, accepted by the TSA uh,
Oh, okay.
places in U.S. airports.
Clear Travel does.
The article says that it will work with Real ID, which is what we are able to use in California. And there are, I think, 12 states altogether that can do that. Um, but in terms of which checkpoints or so forth, I wouldn't know. And it didn't give specifically state by state um, the answer to that. Anything else? Okay. So, Felipe Esposito of Macworld wrote this article, and it's about in the new Mac OS 26.2, the edge light will be a new feature. You can see the little white band around the periphery of the screen. It acts like a ring light, except it's right there built into your screen. Um, and it evidently is quite effective, especially if you're um, trying to see something in a darkened place where the lighting is not strong. Um, they have an image in the article with a little button that you can slide to show what it is without this edge light and what it is with it. And it's very impressive in um, poor lighting. It doesn't do much in decent lighting. Are there any comments? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give you a chance to take in the summary.
I'm using it, but it doesn't really make very much difference.
Right. And check it out, though, Gary or Jerry, and when it's pretty dark and see if that might be helpful.
So can I ask a question? Is it to replace the light that I have on my camera, or is it just illuminating what's on the screen?
No, it illuminates you. It puts the edge of your screen becomes lit up like in that photo, and that light hits your
Uh,
face. You ever notice when you watch somebody, if I've seen it on Zoom a lot, if they're doing something on their computer and they open up a web page that has a mostly white, because it's text, boom, it lights some face up, and they do something that they're in dark mode, and the whole thing gets dark, so the whole screen becomes a light.
hmm.
Apple evidently has programmed in information from their neural engine that takes advantage of the effect so that, if with a ring light you wouldn't really be able to control how well it does. Evidently, Apple's making the best use of it it can. Although ring light's a separate ring light. A ring light is sort of a circular light that is literally one that you can hold up, have around your camera or something. It's different than the flash that you would get from an iPhone. Um, but when you're doing a video, a flash from an iPhone isn't going to be very helpful, whereas this might be. Oh, sorry about that. Are there any questions? Comments? Okay, the next article is by Ryan Chestafel of 9 to 5 Mac. The iPhone Fold is going to be launching, and he feels this is the time for it. Apple has avoided getting into trying to make a phone of this sort for quite a while, but evidently they are working away at it, and it might even be ready by, I think, the maybe the fall of next year. Let's see what the article here says. Okay, the fall of 2026. Um, Samsung actually produced a folding phone in 2019, which was almost 6 years ago at this point, and will be 7 years ago by the time Apple gets around to it. But during that time, the people working on these have improved how well they work and the design and so forth. And now they feel, at least the author feels, that the market is ready for this device and Apple's going to enter the field. So, any questions on this one?
Yes. All right.
Sharon.
Offhand,
Sharon.
do you know what size that is, either open or folded? Thank you.
Well, that would depend on the size of your computer because, your laptop. Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about the fold now.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
It,
let me start over again.
it'll be like two of the iPhone Airs side by side.
I thought I read someplace it was going to be like 10.1 inches.
Oh.
Wow. Okay, that's information I hadn't
But
gotten.
but I have another question though. Any idea how much will it cost?
Big bucks.
Big bucks. I like that.
When it's the first of its kind, and it has cost Apple probably a fortune to get it in place, so it is going to be very expensive. But they expect the market this year to grow 68% for folding phones. So Apple doesn't want to probably get behind any more than they already are with this technology. Anything else? Okay. So this article has to do with Apple in England, the UK, and Apple's in trouble there. They have lost um, an appeal to the United Kingdom Competition Appeal Tribunal and found that its selling practices were not uh, lawful and were hurtful to the customer. Um, at any rate, Apple might appeal this to the UK has a court of appeal, but at this point, uh, this is what's going on. Any comments or questions? Okay. Well, let's move on to the videos for this week. Starting out with an Apple support video on using your iPhone to work out, and it can be done with AirPods Pro 3, but it can also be done with other heart rate monitors. Let's take a look at that article.
Starting in iOS 26, you can use a compatible heart rate monitor, like AirPods Pro 3, when you start a workout from your iPhone. Here's how. On your iPhone, open the Fitness app. Then tap the Workout tab near the bottom of the screen. If you aren't wearing a heart rate monitor, a heart rate monitor unavailable icon appears in the upper right corner of your screen. And you can select from the available workouts that don't require one. To access additional workouts that can track your heart rate, connect Apple Watch, AirPods Pro 3, or a compatible device with a heart rate sensor. We are going to use our paired AirPods Pro 3. Now, additional workouts that require a heart rate monitor are available to start. Before you start your workout, you can set up media, like your favorite playlist, to play every time you do this workout with the media playback button. The Workout Buddy button allows you to select a workout buddy for a little extra motivation. And if you'd like to set a calorie, distance, or time goal, you can tap the Goals button. When you're ready, tap the Start button to begin. If you're wearing your Apple Watch, the workout begins on the watch as well. While you work out, your metrics appear on the screen, displaying information like distance, heart rate, active calories, total calories, time passed, and other data, depending on the workout you selected, or if you have an Apple Watch or other heart rate monitor connected. If your heart rate monitor gets disconnected at any point during a workout that requires one, it will automatically pause. Just reconnect your heart rate monitor again to resume. To end your workout, swipe up on the controls, then tap End Workout, and you can view the details of your workout. When you're ready, tap the Done button in the upper right corner of your screen to return to your workout list. Now you're ready to move. Not all features are available in all countries or regions.
So, has anybody out there actually tried this particular app, the workout app?
Yes,
Care
very
to-
good. And so are the workouts on the Apple network or whatever you want to call it. My girlfriend uses them regularly.
Okay, that's good to know. I was unaware that this was available, but now I might give it a try myself.
They have multiple levels of exercise for everybody who's able to just, practically dance around the ceiling, even to those who are almost confined to chairs.
Well, thanks, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else out there who's done this? Well, maybe by next week. So our next video is with Ellen Sweeney on stopping spam calls. And if she has an effective way to do that, I want to hear it. Here we go.
Hi everyone, Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS. Are you tired of spam or mystery calls? Apple has added a brand new feature in iOS 26 called call screening. It lets you see who's calling and why before you answer. In this video, I'll walk you through each step so you can turn it on and start using it today. If you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Here's what call screening does. When a number you don't recognize calls, your iPhone politely asks the caller to say who they are and why they're calling. You'll see their answer live as text, a live transcript, before the phone even rings. You'll see something like, "This is Dr. Smith calling to confirm your appointment." That's helpful. You'll want to answer that one. Or you might see, "We have an amazing offer for you." You can ignore that one safely. It's like having a personal assistant screen your calls for you. Let me show you how to turn it on. I'll show you on my iPhone and you can follow along step by step. The first thing we're going to do is tap on Settings and open the Settings app. Now, let's scroll down to the very bottom until we see Apps. Tap on Apps. And now the next thing we're looking for is Phone. So I'm just going to tap on the alphabet, the letter P on the alphabet that's down the side, and that will take me right to the P's, and I'll locate Phone, and I'll go ahead and tap on that. Now we're going to scroll down until we see Screen Unknown Callers. Here you have three options. You can use Never, and that way none of your calls will ever be screened. The one we want to look for is Ask Reason for Calling. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. It'll put a check mark, and now you've just turned on call screening. Now when an unknown number calls your iPhone, we'll screen the call automatically, and you can choose whether you want to answer the call or not. Let's compare this new feature to the older feature, which was called Silence Unknown Callers. It's still on your phone and you can choose to use this, but it's right under Ask Reason for Calling, and you'll see silence. So you could go ahead and choose this setting, and your calls will directly go to voicemail. So every unknown number will go straight to voicemail. You don't see or hear the call at all. It just shows up later in your recents area. So as of right now, I have stopped using silence and have started to use Ask a Reason for Calling. This way, you have the opportunity to make a decision as to whether you want to answer that call, because it could be from your doctor's office, or it could be an important call, or when you see the call is from somebody who may not be anybody that's in your contact list and may not have a good reason for calling you, such as a spam call, you can go ahead and refuse to accept that call. Let's go over which one might fit you best. First, let's talk about the pros of call screening. It's safer. You see who's calling first. It cuts down spam and robocalls, and it keeps you in control of your time. Here are some cons of call screening. It's brand new. It might be a little bit buggy. There's a slight delay before the phone rings, and it requires iOS 26 or newer. Now let's talk about the pros of silencing unknown callers. It's very simple. No calls get through. Total peace and quiet. It stops all interruptions. Now, here are some cons of silence unknown callers. You might miss important calls like a doctor or a delivery driver. Here's my tip. If you still want to catch important calls but stop spam, use call screening. If you never want the phone to ring from strangers, use silence unknown callers. So that's how call screening works and how it compares to silence unknown callers. One helps you preview callers, the other blocks them completely. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments section. If you found the video helpful, like, subscribe, and keep watching for more iPhone tips. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Okay. That is, I think,
Rick,
really interesting. A
Rick
big
loves this.
improvement.
Rick has experience with this.
What's that?
Oh yeah, lots so far. I've
Yeah.
turned it. I've been using the beta, and I tried it even with the beta, and it worked beautifully. The only thing is that you need to warn some people that when they call to be asked if their numbers are not on your list, like doctors, for instance, they'll use other telephone numbers to call you rather than their own. And I've just warned them when I'm calling them, look, if you call me, you better be prepared to leave your name and state your reason. You can just say to talk to you if you want, and then it'll ring my phone. But if you just hang up, it won't ring my phone. So a couple of people that I've spoken to say, oh, yeah, we've already run into that. So apparently it's being used with widespread enthusiasm. I'm sure other people here today have been using it.
I'm using it, Rick. I have to say that it's a godsend. I don't like to use that. I don't like to use that statement, but I'm telling you, it silences all these unknown anybody out there without trying to.
Yeah, I think the term widespread enthusiasm might be a bit understating the fact.
Well,
you think it's even broader than that?
I think people are just enjoying the hell out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
mean, people I've talked to that use it are just going, "Oh my God, it's so great." Personally, I never used it when I had 26 because I don't mind those calls. I don't get enough, and I have no problem saying, "Here, if they're not going to leave a message, I don't really care." But that's me. But the people that use it love it.
I'm finding that if I'm not immediately present, I can't tell the initial part of the screening of the call, but it's been effective for people to be leaving better messages and identifying themselves.
Yeah.
Well, I look at it this way. If you don't want to leave your name on my answering machine, I don't want to talk to you. That's
right.
all there is to it.
People have gotten out of the habit of leaving messages. They want instant access to you. And I think this is helping retrain people to leave messages.
Yeah, I agree. There's too many people who answer the phone no matter what, and they're always, "Oh, I got a phone call. I'm important." And it's like, no. Because monkeys say the telephone is a convenience item. It's for my convenience. I'll answer it when I want to.
Well, for my part, I didn't really know about this option until I saw Ellen's video. And so I intend to get it working this afternoon after the meeting.
To tell you the truth, I thought it comes default turned on because I didn't turn it on. But when I looked at my settings, it was turned on. So
No,
take a look at
you would
your
have to
phone,
turn it
but
on.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, you would have to turn it on.
Yeah, I've upgraded my phone to iOS 26 and beyond, 26.1 now, and neither time did it automatically put it on.
It would have defaulted to your previous setting, which was either always or never.
Right. Apple's just given us another option, which I think is a really viable one.
Okay.
So you know what? I'm with Bruce there. I didn't turn it on, but I have it, but it works and I appreciate it. It's that my phone doesn't ring very much, and if it also just marks it spam, if somehow it decides that, and that's okay, because I'm also like with Mike, if they have to do it at my convenience. So I think it's a win-win. I'm on that team. Thank you for showing the video, though.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next one, which is by Rich Bolin. We've heard from him frequently. If anyone is interested in getting an iPad or upgrading the iPad, I think this is a really useful video. He talks about, hey, here's what the latest iPad will be doing and can do, which is pretty marvelous. And how does that compare to the old iPad I already have or so forth? And let's let him go ahead and tell you.
I love the new fancy M5 iPad Pro. I really do. But I find myself using my base 10th gen iPad that came out in 2022 all the time. In this short video, I compare the budget iPad to the Pro iPad, and you might be surprised at just how close they really are. Hi, my name is Rich, and I make easy-to-follow videos on how to use your iPad and iPhone. Nothing complicated. In fact, I leave all the complicated videos to others. I don't really do a lot of comparison videos, but I have an older base iPad, and by older, I mean only 3 years old. And I use it for a variety of daily work. And because I also make YouTube videos, I have the 11-inch M5 iPad Pro. And for sure, the new M5 iPad is way nicer than my 10th gen base iPad. But I recently saw that I could buy 3 11th gen iPads for the price of one M5 11-inch iPad Pro. And I wondered if the M5 iPad is actually 3 times better than the 11th gen iPad, given that it's 3 times the cost. So let's lay these things side by side. In this video, without using a ton of specs, because, you know, I hate specs, I'll compare screens, speed in opening programs, front and rear cameras, connectivity, Touch ID versus Face ID, the speakers on each one of them, Apple Pencil support, keyboard support, software, and maybe the most important of all, Apple Intelligence. And if you stick around to the end, I'll give you my conclusion. Okay, let's get started. Bottom line, both screens are beautiful. The iPad Pro screen is noticeably brighter when side by side, but the base iPad's screen is fine. Both are liquid retina displays. The Pro screen is the new tandem OLED screen, which to me is the best in the world. But again, you're paying a premium for it. But here's the thing. I never look at the base iPad screen and think it looks awful. That's because it doesn't. Go to an Apple store and look at them side by side, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Now, to be sure, the M5 iPad Pro opens programs, web pages, images, and just about everything faster than my 3-year-old base iPad. But only by a second or two, if that. Meaning, the base iPad is fast. In fact, I never open an app on my 10th gen iPad and think it's so slow it's time to upgrade. I just don't. No, it's not as snappy as the M5, but I only notice that when they're side by side. Now, I know the M5 chip is way more powerful than the older A14 chip that's in the base iPad. But unless you're some power user, I doubt you'll notice all that much difference in how the two iPads perform. And, you know, that's all I'm saying. I don't normally use the iPad camera to take photos or videos, but if I did, I'm guessing they'd pretty much look the same, as they both have 12 megapixel wide cameras and they both shoot high resolution 4K video, so no distinction between the two iPads. Same for the front-facing camera. Both iPads use landscape mode and have a 12 megapixel center stage camera, so again, no real difference between them. Well, what about connectivity? Both use USB-C. And I think you can see where this video is going. In both cases, you can connect USB-C external drives and other peripherals. The M5 does support Thunderbolt and USB 4, which is to say the transfer speeds are noticeably faster than the base iPad. But I'm usually not so busy that I can't wait another minute or two while I transfer something to my iPad from an external drive. Now, for me, I really do like Face ID over Touch ID. It does seem to annoy me when I pick up the base iPad in the wrong orientation and have to flip it around to find the Touch ID button on the side. That never seems to be an issue with Face ID. Plus, logging into websites using Face ID is so much easier. But honestly, I hate to whine around about having to touch a button on the side of the iPad to open it up. But hey, I like what I like. The M5 iPad Pro has 4 speakers and the base iPad has 2. And while the base iPad sounds just fine, the iPad Pro really does sound better. It just does, and you can hear the difference. Both have Apple Pencil support, with the base iPad supporting the USB-C Pencil and the M5 iPad supporting the Apple Pencil Pro. Both pencils work great for me. The Apple Pencil Pro and the iPad Pro win this round though. The Pro Pencil attaches to the top of the iPad via magnets and charges as well. You actually have to plug the USB-C pencil into the iPad with a cable to charge it. Of course, I can never find that stupid cable, which is why I like the Pro version so much better. Not to mention the Pro Pencil on the iPad Pro has greater functionality than the USB-C pencil. This is one comparison where the iPad Pro really outshines the base iPad, and if the Apple Pencil is something you might use a lot, this could sway your buying decision. The base iPad uses Apple's Magic Keyboard Folio that has a kickstand. The M5 uses the Magic Keyboard for iPad Pro. Now I know everyone raves about the Pro's keyboard and unique design, but the Folio has a lot going for it too. The keys on both are best in class and both pair with the iPad automatically. I guess I like the Pro keyboard better, but of course it's more expensive. But I don't think the keyboard differences are so great that it would really sway my buying decision one way or the other. Both iPads support the latest iPad OS 26, so for all practical purposes they function just about the same. The main productivity apps like Notes and Calendar and Reminders all function pretty much the same way. But there is a difference, which brings me to the last comparison and maybe the most important, and that's Apple Intelligence. The base iPad does not support Apple Intelligence. You need an M-class chip for that. And I think this is where Apple really draws the divide. I pretty much scoffed at Apple when their version of AI rolled out, mainly because it didn't do very much. But now there are so many new Apple Intelligence features, plus the integration with ChatGPT, that if you ever plan on using AI, you have no choice. And by no choice, I mean you need an iPad other than the base iPad. And it needs to have an M-series chip. The iPad Airs have an M-series chip at a lower price point than the iPad Pros, so that iPad might be the sweet spot for you. But when comparing the base iPad with the Pro iPad, there's no getting around this hurdle. So what is my conclusion? Well, when you actually list all these features side by side, I think I can live with the base iPad, at least for now. The price difference is just too great for me. Of course, that's easy for me to say, since I own both, but only because I make YouTube videos. In other words, if I'd never seen the M5 Pro, I'd be content with the base iPad. It looks great, sounds great, and functions just the way I need it to function. But of course, looming so large on the horizon is all the artificial intelligence stuff that I hear about every day. And I really do like the summarized text features in Apple Notes and Cleanup and Apple Photos and many other such AI features. So it's not an easy decision, but here's the thing. If you buy the base iPad and you don't like it right away, you can return it and get your money back and buy the iPad Pro. And even if you keep the base iPad for a year or two and then decide you want a Pro, you can trade it in and most likely get a decent price for it. And remember, compared to the iPad Pro, your initial investment is pretty small, so a little more room for error. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Okay, that's it for this short video. I hope it provided some context for you when you think about buying your next iPad. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
If I may, I'd like to make a comment. His logic is impeccable, and I think he's right on the money. But if you're interested in a keyboard, the Apple keyboards are brutally expensive. And I know that because I have an Apple keyboard, and it was almost $300. There's a line of keyboards that are, I think, 98% as good, that half the price, made by Logitech. And I've also owned those, and the next iPad I get, I will not be buying an Apple keyboard. I'll go back to Logitech because, frankly, the Apple keyboard, as good as it is just not worth that double the price.
Oh, thank you, Rick.
Yeah, good point, Rick. When I recently upgraded finally to get a new Mac Mini, I got the Mac Mini M4 and I bought a very inexpensive Logitech keyboard and mouse, which I'm using on both my 10th generation iPad and the M4 Mac, because I can just move back and forth between them almost seamlessly.
And the quality of the Logitech is they've got good keys, good key.
Yeah.
It's good keyboard.
Well, the key labels are confusing, but you get used to them. The other thing that he was doing in his comparison video, he was talking about the same 10th generation iPad that I have, but when he was talking about availability, that one you can find on the used market or someone closing out, but it's not currently in the available models. So,
Right, because now the 11th, that price $299 is what the 11th gen iPad sells for on Amazon.
yeah, but he was showing his 10th generation, so I think some people watching the video will be a little confused. I have the 10th generation iPad and I'm very happy with it.
John,
So,
do you know if the 11th generation iPad has an M-rated processor?
No, the base iPad will never. That's the price point. They can never do that. That's
I
base
see.
iPad is always going to, until someday maybe it will have an M processor, but not now.
only the iPad Pros have M processors.
I think the Air does too.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, well let's move on to the next video. This one is by Gary Rosenzweig of MacMost, and we do watch a lot of Gary videos. He is excellent in terms of his ability to explain things. Fun with math notes. Some people have an avoidance issue with math. Most people don't, but this particular video shows how you now, with the latest iOS, can incorporate your putting it down numbers into what you are, your text, and it just works. So I found it very interesting. By the way, this video in its full form is 33 minutes long, and that was too long to use it in our meeting. It would pretty much take up all of the video time. So I cut it at the 8-minute mark, or right around 8 minutes. And so here's the beginning part of it, and there is more of it if you find it compelling.
Hi everyone, this is Gary with MacMost.com, and I'm going to do a live episode today taking a look at math notes. Okay, so math notes are not a new feature. Well, they're kind of new. They're from last year. And I'm still geeking out over them because I think they're really cool. It's a new way to do calculations on your Mac and actually your iPhone and iPad as well that doesn't involve going to the calculator or Spotlight or like creating a spreadsheet or anything like that. You could just type pretty much anywhere you could type text, but in particular in the Notes app. So I'm going to start off there in the Notes app. So here I am in the Notes app, and I've just got a blank note here. And let's say I want to do a basic calculation, like adding two numbers together. I'm going to type 1 plus 1, and then I'm going to type the equals sign. And you can see the number 2 appears after it. And you can press return, and it accepts that and puts the number 2 there. Now, it may be a little hard to see this because the text is usually pretty small in Notes. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little clearer there. So you could type any expression you want. Let's say I want to do 5 minus 3, then just type equals. You'll see the answer there, and you can press return, and it kind of puts the answer there and puts the cursor afterwards. So you could do lots of different basic calculations like this. There's addition and subtraction, of course, but let's also take a look at, say, multiplication. So you want to do 5, and in computers, traditionally you use the asterisk for multiplication. If you've ever done any programming, you know this, but you may not have done any programming, so maybe you don't know that. So on the US keyboard, just Shift 8, but on other keyboards, asterisk at the asterisk character somewhere else. So you type asterisk and then say 7, and then equals, and you can see you get multiplication. It even will change that little asterisk to an X there, or the multiplication symbol. It's not really an X. It's more of a straightforward squared off cross. But you could also actually use the X key on your keyboard if it's in the right context. So 4X and then 9 equals, and you can see it converted the little X character to multiplication, and you get that. Now for division, you could do something like 9, and then it's the slash, which kind of mimics like a fraction, kind of, and that's how you do it in, computer typing. So 9 divided by 3 equals 3, and then return, and you get a division result there. So you could do all sorts of basic calculations, but you can go like way beyond just two numbers, right? So if you need to, like, say, add up a bunch of stuff, you do 25 plus 76 plus 321 plus 6 plus 48, and just keep going, even maybe subtracting something, minus 7. You're doing some sort of calculation. And it's nice because you could see it all here. It's not like in a calculator where you're doing one number at a time, although in the new calculator, you can actually type it out kind of like this. But now when I do equals, it puts it all together like that, which is really nice. And you can make changes. So if you look at this and say, oh, this isn't supposed to be 321, this is supposed to be 312, you can change it, and the result will change to match that. So the calculation isn't done just when you type equals, but once you've set this up, now you can, further refine the calculation. Now, if you do some math, you know that order of operations is kind of like an important thing. So for instance, if I wanted to do 2 plus 3 times 9 equals, I get, of course, 29. It's doing the 3 times 9 first and then adding the 2. But if what you really want to do is add 2 plus 3 and multiply it by 9, you would use parentheses. And this works with parentheses. 2 plus 3 times 9 equals, and there you get the answer that you're actually after. And you can have a whole bunch of nested parentheses used with multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, and all of that to get the answer you want. So, you can do more complex things like that, and you'll get the right answer. So that's really handy to be able to go ahead and do it like this. Now, we've looked at the basic math functions here, but let's take a look at some extra ones. Like, for instance, if you want to square something or cube something or, take something up to a power, you can do, say, 5 squared. You would use the caret symbol. That's on US keyboard Shift 6, and 5 squared equals 25. And this is basically raised to the power. So if you want to do cubed, you would change to 3 like that. If you want to do square root, well, as math people know, that square root is, raised to the power of a half. And so you could do it like that. So that's how you do that. There are other symbols as well. For instance, factorial is exclamation point. So you can do 5 factorial if you have use for that. There are other things, percentage. If you do, say, 5%, you would know, like, as a math nerd like me, you would know that's the equivalent to 0.05. And if I do equals, it actually shows you that. So you could type out things like, say, if you've got a bill that is 67.52, and you want to find out what, say, 21% of that is, you could multiply by 0.21 and get your answer. But you could also multiply by 21%. It recognizes the percent symbol and changes this to 0.21. So percent symbol works. And there are other things that work as well, which I'll point out as we go along. If you do want to use divide instead of slash, so I do like 12 divided by 4 equals 3, and you're like, oh, I hate the slash. Option D, actually, it's shift. I thought it was shift option. Trying to remember. Oh, it's option and then slash. That's what it is. Option slash gives you a division symbol. Makes sense. So instead of slash, option slash. And it understands the division symbol. So it'll give you a nice division there, and it will look nicer for you. Also, if you want to do square root, you can do option V like that, and you could do, say, the square root of 9 like this. If you want something more complex, you might have to do like parentheses like that, and you can see how it takes care of that. So that's really cool to know. So you've seen how you can do math. You see how you can change the numbers after you've got the formula already typed. But what's really cool is that you could do this in places besides notes so far. So I can go here to, say, text edit. Let me create a new text edit document, move it over. I'm in text edit and I'm typing some text, and I can actually do the same thing. 4 plus 5 equals, and there it puts the answer. So just equals and then, kind of return. You can do 7 plus 2 times 5 equals, and there's your 45. So you can do this kind of thing, not just here in text edit, but here I am in pages. And 6 times 6 equals 36. Here I am in mail, just to give you an idea of like why you might want to do something like this in mail. Here's like a message I'm sending, placing an order for 15 packages of widgets, and you want to make sure you get the right number. So you're saying each package is 12 widgets, right? So I need a total of, and instead of doing the math in your head or just putting it there, maybe with the calculation you can do 15 times 12 equals, and it does the math for you. So not only did it do the math, but you could see here it includes the entire result, allowing you to easily clarify something in an email message. And this is a simple multiplication, but imagine something much more complex, like calculating like lumber prices per yard, and with lots of other things in there. You could have calculations in your mail message as you go along to prevent mistakes in communication.
Okay. I have, I got my cursor back. Good. Okay. Any comments, questions about what Gary's been showing us?
That's a lot of widgets.
You notice Gary has been doing these periodically, these live things, which are live, and he records them also. And they're pretty long, like half an hour. But you notice how much slower he talks? It's live. It's not a pre-canned script where he's like, boom, boom, he's like rehearsed it or something. He just zooms through the thing.
Right. He tries things out and they're not edited out.
Like I think it was live, and somebody pointed out to him he was listening to the live, and somebody pointed out, something to him, and he said, "Oh, yeah, that's right."
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, he even had a little problem with getting the was it square root sign initially? So, that was cool. But I often am using text or pages and writing stuff and want to do some calculations, and I will pull out my calculator and do it and then type that in. It's not necessary, You now can just keep doing it.
How long
Right
has
on.
that been there?
Shannon has a question.
Oh, that was new to me. Has that been there a while, or when did this
It's been
appear?
there a while.
It's been there a while.
It's been there a while.
It's also been in Google for the longest period of time. All you have to do is type
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
In Google
You
search,
have
yeah.
you have to go to Google and do that. This lets you do it inside of a number of applications. And that was the point.
Yeah.
So after watching his video, I was doing this, typing in various foreign currencies, and it's absolutely wonderful to do that instead of going over to all the steps that you have to in the calculator app.
Yeah, the conversion apps, things like that.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Good to know the
you know,
formula.
you can type 8 and then find the symbol for British pounds and say equal, and it'll give you
Yep.
the amount in dollars
Oh, that's cool.
just as you type.
Or euro.
And they should
Yep,
be the current value because I think those are live as opposed
they are.
to constants.
Right. Just to be clear, I mentioned it before, but that was only the first third of the piece that Gary had on use of math. And to see the whole thing, yeah, you can use the URL, the link. But I did make a mistake. I said that this was an 8-minute presentation. It actually was closer to 9.5 minutes. So I apologize about that. But
I'd like
it,
to add,
yes,
if you're interested in math, there is a website called the Khan Academy. He teaches all this online, and it has to do with everything. It doesn't just not conversion, basic math to advanced math to algebra to trigonometry and so on and so forth.
yeah, calculus too.
And calculus.
So,
There you go.
yeah. Well, anyway, let's move on. The next video is by Dan Barbera from Mac Rumors, talking about Apple producing a MacBook that actually is a hopefully competitive price. So let's listen to this one.
Apple might be finally ready to shake up the MacBook lineup in a pretty big way. More and more reports over the last month or two have led to claims that Apple is working on a more affordable MacBook aimed at launching in early 2026. And this could be the company's answer to not only budget Chromebooks, the students in, middle school and elementary schools, but low-cost Windows laptops that dominate not only education, but also just the people who need the basics. And speaking of the basics, the new low-cost MacBook is rumored to feature a 13-inch display, keeping it close to the current MacBook Air in size. But don't expect an ultra-premium build this time around. Apple is said to be cutting costs where it makes sense, likely swapping out the all-aluminum unibody for something a little bit simpler, maybe a mix of aluminum and some reinforced plastics. The display will also stick to standard LCD technology, so there's going to be no fancy mini LED or ProMotion panels here, which I don't think anyone is really expecting, especially out of a budget MacBook, considering that we don't have that on the MacBook Air currently, so that's usually reserved for the pros. Still, Apple's display quality is always solid, and at a lower price point, it's an easy trade-off, and I'm expecting it to be just as good as the MacBook Air's display, which I have no problems with either, so I'm fine with that display. The real surprise comes underneath the hood. Instead of using an M-series chip like an Air or Pro, Apple could use an A18 Pro chip, the same chip found in the iPhone 16 Pro. Now that sounds weird at first, but it actually makes a lot of sense. The A18 Pro delivers great efficiency, strong single-core performance, and even Apple Intelligence support. It's powerful enough for your basic web browsing, streaming videos, video calls for work, schoolwork, and even some light creative tasks, all while keeping battery life excellent and power efficient. And if Apple pairs it with a low amount of RAM and a fanless design, it could be one of the most efficient laptops that Apple has released yet. So, what kind of performance can you expect? Well, think M1 level speed, but in a smaller, lighter, and more efficient package. It's not going to be built for 8K video exports or heavy 3D rendering, but 90% of what people actually do for work is writing emails and creating documents, and then at home they're watching Netflix and YouTube and doing some light photo edits, and it's just going to be fine for all of that. Basically, it's going to become my new go-to for those who I usually recommend the MacBook Air to. Something powerful enough to get the basics done when you need it to work, but nothing overly flashy and coming in at a good price point, which is the big question: price. Reports suggest Apple's targeting a price well under $1,000. Considering that the current MacBook Air already starts under $1,000 at $999, hopefully that means something at the $599 to $799 range. I think $599 would be great. That's right in that Chromebook entry-level Windows laptop territory. And that's exactly the space that Apple wants to tap into because, well, they don't have anything, especially laptops that are priced in that range. If they manage to hit that price, it would be the most affordable MacBook Apple has sold in years, maybe decades, and could open the door for a whole new wave of users. Apple's reportedly aiming for a release window sometime in early 2026. That would be lining up nicely with the next wave of MacBook Air updates, and it gives Apple some time to optimize macOS for A-series chips if they haven't already done so in a laptop form factor. And honestly, I could see Apple marketing this as the MacBook for everyone, which is kind of what the Air normally is for people. But now it's the MacBook for everyone. It's simple, it's portable, and it's fast enough for your everyday life. And all of this turns out to be true. This could be a massive move for Apple. It's been a long time since they've played in that true budget space when it comes to the Mac. Sure, we have the Mac Mini, which is a fan favorite, but that low cost does come with a few additional price tags that you don't see when you look at the checkout. You need peripherals, you need a monitor just to get things up and running. A MacBook has everything that you would need, and something this cheap is something that I haven't seen in quite a while. And so the key will be balancing cost and quality because even at a lower price, people still want a MacBook to feel like a MacBook. So what do you think? Would you buy a $599 to $799 MacBook if it ran off of Apple's, mobile iPhone chip and supported Apple Intelligence? Let me know in the comments down below because I think this could easily become one of Apple's most important products of 2026. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.
Right. I noticed that in the official title to this piece, they used $599 as the price, but he isn't predicting this, in a hard, fast way. It'll be under $600. He talked about between 6 and 800.
They already
Or between 5 and 800. I mean, 5 and
M4
99.
MacBook Air is already discounted to $800 all the time. Currently, you can buy them. In Walmart has been selling an M1 MacBook Air for $599. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
they
think
don't
if
want to
these come
make.
in, it's going to be a Chromebook killer. I think
It
Apple's
should.
going to go for the throat. They want that education market back.
Right. I'm sure they don't want to make that M1 anymore because that's the only one they put it in. So they'll use the iPhone chip. Somebody benchmarked that as just maybe faster than the M1. So, it'll cut some costs on some other things, but they've never sold a MacBook for that low a price except this. I walked through Walmart the other day and there it was sitting right out on the counter, $599. I don't know how it's selling, but it's probably a test. They're probably convinced that they can, sell them to education. Usually they have a discount below that, and Matt sell them in bulk to education for $499.
Mm-hmm. Bruce?
I noticed that he didn't mention any space. What kind of how much space is it going to come with, etc. I mean, maybe was this a 256 or 128?
Won't
No,
be
it's
much.
256. The M1 MacBook Air the one they sell in Walmart. It's 8 gigs of RAM and 256. It's not the 16 gig like you get in the later model Airs.
Okay, well, we can speculate, but I guess in a year we're going to know. I actually have one more video. It's under a minute long, but I was just intrigued by the topic. Let's play it. It's from Apple Support.
Starting in watchOS 11, you can use the Translate app on your Apple Watch. Here's how. From the home screen, tap Translate. You can also add a Translate widget to the Smart Stack. Tap the target language, and tap to choose what to translate into. We'll use Japanese. Now, tap Dictation and say what you want translated. Where is the train station? When you finish speaking, the recording stops automatically, and the translation appears below your phrase. To have it spoken out loud, just tap the play button next to the translation.
駅はどこですか?
Say hello to anyone you meet. Translation is available for supported languages.
I think that is really cool, you know? So I took a look at my watch and I couldn't find it. And then I realized, oh, I have an iWatch 10. So you need an iWatch 11 or higher in order to make this work. But boy, for a traveler in a foreign country, this could be really useful.
Hello there.
Any other thoughts?
I thought it said watch OS 11.
No, I think he said the Apple Watch 11, but I'd be very happy if the Translate app worked on my Watch 10. That would be
The
super.
Translate app is on my Watch 8. So it's not a function of how new the watch is, it's the software.
Jerry, it's on your Watch 8. Okay, I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I think it is time to move to questions and answers. So I'm going to end my share and sign off.
Have any more questions related to any of the videos before we go to general Q&A and a new recording?
Thank you, Peter. That was nicely done.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move forward here. So we'll stop this one. Anybody listening to this on YouTube, if you're a DVMUG member, you can see the next recording for general Q&A, where there'll be a link on the BBS.